Welcome back to Digital Wandering, and I'm bringing back my Nexus 5 on Ubuntu Touch for a return review. Some things have changed since the last Ubuntu Touch video that I had on the channel. One thing, there's been an update on this. OTA 16 is now the present version of this, and there was some new additions with that update. And also, if you look at this, I have way more apps on here, and that's really what I wanted to talk about. How apps function on this device. I've shown it a little bit previously, but I want to go into a little bit greater detail. Now, some of the apps here are pre-installed apps that are part of the operating system when you install Ubuntu Touch on a supported device. You have some of those apps here. An example of that would be like Contacts, the Weather app, the Music app, the Morph browser. And then there's other apps that I downloaded from the store here, the Open Store. Now, I've talked about how the Open Store doesn't have the number of apps that you'll find on Android, iOS, or even on the Amazon Fire tablets, the Amazon Fire App Store. But a lot of the core apps are here. And let's just show how we close an app here. Just slide over from the side, and you get like the multitasking view, and then you can just close it like that. But there's also another way to add apps to this using an app that is in the Open Store, and it's called Weber. And you see that right there. There's also another app creation tool right next to it here, the Web App Creator. I haven't actually used the Web App Creator yet. Most of the times I create apps for Ubuntu Touch, I use Weber, and that's the vast majority of the apps that you see here I created using Weber. And let's just show what that process is like. So let's just go over here to Weber. Okay, so now we're going to browse the internet. So let's open up the Morph browser. And I think we'll try eBay here. I'm just pulling it away from the camera because it's a little easier for me to type. Okay, so it's pulling up eBay. And so what we're going to do is share eBay with Weber. So we open up the share app window here. And now, okay, so here we go. So it abstracts the URL, the name of the website, and often it will extract an icon. One thing I've noticed here using Weber, the screenshot and I haven't actually tried to make a custom icon yet, but the screenshot doesn't seem to work. But if possible, it will pull an icon from the web page. So it has done that here. So we are going to use that default icon. And then you just go to create. And it's going to take us back to the Open Store here. And we'll go to install. Okay, and that was successful. And I'm just going to close the Open Store. And we'll close Weber for now. We'll leave eBay open. Actually, let me go back. Actually, let me go to the apps here. And we should have an eBay app here now. I must have just scrolled right past it. Where is it? Okay, here we go, right here. There's the eBay app that we just created. And now I'll open the eBay app that we just created. So what this does is it creates a simple web app. This is really no different. And it's good. Now, one thing is this is basically a single instance of the Morph browser, like a website container that contains the eBay web page. And let's just go back to the Morph browser where the eBay page is. So it's just basically the same as what you would see through the Morph browser. One thing that's different when you create a Weber app using a website, you don't have the navigation. So like we go back to Morph. So that's one thing you lose. You see how you have a back button here. You lose that navigation. You also have the search bar isn't there as well, the browser search bar. So you just get the web page. Now, let me just go do a sample search here. And this is on the Weber eBay app that we just created. I just want to see. Okay. Now, one thing with the eBay, it looks like it doesn't, and when it opens up, it opens up, actually, it reverts back to the Morph browser when it opens up a search result. So it does take you back to the Morph browser and doing that. So you're not totally divorced from the Morph browser. It doesn't do everything within the Weber app. And that's what happens with certain apps or certain web pages when you open up a search link. Let's see if we open this up. Will it open it with a, okay, so it stayed within the browser for the things on the home page of eBay. But clicking on the search results, it opened up the link in the Morph browser. And how each website handles the Weber app is different. Some things will keep it all within the container of the Weber app, and some will open up links in the Morph browser. So this is interesting how eBay is handling this. But since I'm in the Weber app here, and as you see, I don't have a back button. So normally if I'm in the Weber app and I want to navigate around, normally a web page will have the website icon at the top, and I can click on that and go back to the home page. So that's how I normally will get around. Okay, but that's the process of creating an app here. But why would you do that? I mean, you may ask, if it's the same as what I see in the Morph browser without the navigation, what's the value of creating an app that is just the same thing that you would see in the Morph browser? Well, for me, in my use case scenario, there's a couple things. One thing is a shortcut. So as opposed to going to the Morph browser and then searching for eBay, I can just, if it's in a website that I want to access quite often, I can just click on it here, and that takes me right there. So it is a shortcut. One other benefit is when it comes to bookmarks, on the Morph browser, there's no bookmark management. So when you add a bookmark and you pull up the bookmark page, the bookmarks are in the order that you added each individual website. You can't sort the bookmarks after they're added. Also, you can't edit them. So for me, I like the app view here. If I can add a web page to the app view, I can access it here, and it's organized alphabetically. Where there's no organization in the bookmarks in the Morph browser, here is organized in a fashion that I prefer. I prefer to have my websites, bookmarks, or apps in an alphabetical format. So it's just the ease of being able to access the web page fast without having to go to the browser, and it's organized. So that's the main advantages here. You have to look at each individual app, how it interacts with the website. Just like as we saw on eBay, when you clicked on certain links, it will take you to the Morph browser. Other other apps will not do that. Other apps that you create using the Weber app, you'll do everything within that instance of the website. And also, let's just open up eBay. I don't think I have it open here. Yeah, I do not have anything open right now. No running apps. I just want to open up eBay one more time here. And you may have noticed this already. One other advantage of doing this through the Weber app and making these simple web apps, I just open up the Morph browser. Now you see how we can have these two as separate windows. So that's just maybe something that you would prefer, where if you have multiple websites in the Morph browser, you have to have it as in different tabs. And the Morph browser handles tabs differently. The tab view here is, it may not be pleasing to you. It depends on what you prefer. I'm just trying to see if I can just show that here quickly. This is the tab view of the Morph browser, and it's okay. I mean, it's functional, but it's not the best use of tabs that I've seen. So if you want to switch between different web pages that you have open, it's very difficult for me to do this. Let me see if I can try to. You use the tab view. You can flow it up, pull it up there, and then you can switch between the different websites. So you can do that here using tabs. I just think it's a more elegant solution like this. If you can create a web page that you use often, you turn it into an app, and then you can switch between them using your multitasking view here. That just seems like a better solution. I mean, it depends on you. You may prefer not to do this. Because one thing is, I'm crazy about bookmarks, and I don't know about other people out there. A lot of web browsers, especially mobile web browsers, the bookmarking tools are very lacking. One of the reasons I like Safari on iOS is because they give you basically the same bookmarking tools that you have on the desktop. And that's more to my liking. Most web browsers, even Chrome, the web browser on Windows Phone was okay. Windows Phone 10 or even 8.1. But it wasn't as fully featured as I would like. 10 was much better than 8.1 on Windows Phone as far as the browsers, the bookmarks. But iOS has always been my favorite. And iOS is not perfect, but it just gives you more tools than you have on other browsers. I'm someone that bookmarks. Anytime I find a website that I find useful, I will bookmark it because from my experience, it's really hard to find a website in the future. If you're trying to look up a web page that you discovered in the past, it's really hard to rediscover it. If you try to go to a search engine and type in search words, you need to really pretty much have a photographic memory. You need to remember the web page or the website's name exactly, because it's almost impossible to rediscover a web page using a web browser, especially as time goes by, because there's just millions, if not billions, of web pages, and even using the same search terms. If you use a search term at a different time, you'll get different results. So The only way I can really maintain access to web pages that I find useful is by bookmarking them. So bookmarks is really important to me. Uh, so I have, on devices that I use or browsers that I use, I have hundreds, if not thousands, of bookmarks. And that also means if you have that many, you need to be able to organize them in some way. And alphabetical is the easiest way. You can also do folders. Folders get kind of messy. You get hundreds of folders. But if I can just organize them in alphabetical in a way, and I can place them in some place where it's easily scrollable, that's what I like. So this works out for me very well. So you saw the eBay one that we just created. I have all different types on here, so we can look at the BBC News. So it's just a shortcut to get the BBC News. And again, I use this with the Weber app. No navigation on top, but if you open up, and let me just show, I was trying to show this I did show this a little bit on eBay. So we open up to an article. If I wanted to get back to the home, I can just go like that and it'll take me back there. So it is kind of bad that it doesn't have navigation. That's one of the things that is missing that could be needed, but often you can get around it by just using what's there available on the page. That is a simple web apps that you have that you can create on the Weber app that you can get into the open store. Now, there's differences. You have conventional apps and you have web apps. Like a conventional app is what most of us are used to, what we use all the time on iOS and Android. With a conventional app, it downloads onto the device and it runs off of the resources of the device. Where with a web app, it's essentially a portal that connects to a web page. And everything is on that web page, and you interact with the web page through the app. Now, it gets a little hazy there because even with a conventional app that runs directly on the phone, often you need to connect to the internet for it to actually do anything and function. So in some ways they're the same. And then there's also web apps that add some features of conventional apps where when you connect to when you download or you add the web app to your device, it will also download some things so you can give it some offline functionality. So that's something that certain more advanced web apps can do. When you're using the Weber app, it's a simple web app that just connects to a web page. But you can also download web apps from the open store. And often the web apps you download from the open store, they're going to have more features than the simple web app that I create using the Weber app. Like, for example, this is a YouTube app. It's a web app downloaded from the open store. And as you can see here, if we go like this YouTube app gives us additional functionalities that I don't have on any of the Weber apps that I use, that I create, or apps that I create using the Weber app. So you can see how it has a button here you can click on, and you have home, trending, subscriptions. So it on a proper web app, even though it may need to connect to the internet to function, there will be additions there that you can actually take advantage of that a simple web app creator like Weber doesn't allow for. So all the different types of things I created here using, let's just see some of these here that are kind of interesting. One of the things is that there's a lot of documentary services on the internet or documentary websites, and I've used Weber to turn them into apps on my Ubuntu Touch phone here. Many of these documentary web pages, sometimes they host the video themselves, but often it may be just hosted on YouTube, And the website, like this one, yeah, it looks like this one is hosted on YouTube. And YouTube does function on this pretty well. So it's the main, YouTube is the biggest streaming service on the internet. I think the only one that's going to be close is Netflix. Netflix does not work on Ubuntu Touch, but YouTube does for the most part. Now it looks like this one is buffering a bit. One thing I do find on Ubuntu Touch, often high resolution videos will buffer. So if you have an opportunity to change the resolution, sometimes I do that because I find that there is a lot of buffering. That this one is buffering right now. So that's one drawback. And this is the Nexus 5. If you have an Ubuntu Touch with a device that has more RAM, I think the OnePlus One has 3 gigabytes of RAM. This has 2 gigabytes, which is fairly low for a smartphone in 2021. I just want to go back to YouTube real quick. And I want to show you something else that I discovered here on YouTube. Now, YouTube also offers, you have the user-generated content that users, upload to YouTube. But there's also movies and things that YouTube hosts that you can pay for, but they also have free movies. So I'm just opening up here there's 500 movies here that YouTube offers for free. But what I found out is on Ubuntu Touch, you can't access the free movies here. So it says your browser cannot play this video. Okay, so that's a bummer. If you use that, if you watch a lot of, there's 500 movies here, and I think they do change movies. The movies that they actually show, I think they rotate or change frequently. You cannot access those free movies here on Ubuntu Touch. It doesn't seem to affect user uploaded content, but the content provided by YouTube, like the movie content, and I think it might have something to do with like copy protection that they have built in. Why this isn't accessible, and so that's a problem. Video formats that are not involving like copy protection, I think, are not affected at all. And let me see here. I thought I had I'm just looking for other. I think I showed Tubi last time. One other app here that might be of interest here is TikTok. So I created this app using Weber, the Weber app. Okay, so this is TikTok. Now, one thing I found on TikTok, for whatever reason, you cannot scroll the video feed. Sometimes you can get it to advance, but it's really difficult. Let's see if we can try to advance to the next video here. I'm trying to develop a technique here that allows you to scroll the video feed, but it's almost impossible to do it. Sometimes I can scroll one video. So scrolling through TikTok videos is almost impossible here on either on the Morph browser or in this app that I created. But one thing you can do is you can navigate around using the different icons down here. So, for example, let's try to search here. And one thing I noticed is that there doesn't appear to be any search field that you can use to search I'm not signed in here. I'm not signed into TikTok, so this is just a default uh, info that you would see if you pull up the app. So that might have something to do with it. But I'm thinking it's just missing here. But you can, if you go to use that magnifying glass to get to where you would search, and they have here some default profiles of some of the more famous users. And if you click on that, you pull up a profile, and this is scrollable just fine and operates just fine. And one thing that's good is that it does give you some navigation here. You have the arrows, so you can go back. So TikTok is like partially workable here. I'm just going around to different profiles here. Now, I think if someone made a proper web app for TikTok, you could get around the notification, the issues here with not being able to scroll. You probably just need an edge here that you can grab onto that to scroll. See, I was able to advance that video. It's really difficult to do it. If you just kind of, so all it needs really, I was able to advance. This is about as good as it's going to get. All it needs is probably an edge here that you can grab onto to scroll. So if someone wanted to make a proper web app from TikTok, it would probably be very easy to do because the Weber app itself is so close to being fully functional that with just a little bit of skill and knowledge of making web apps, you could probably make a fully functional TikTok app here. Right now, it just provides access, which is better than not having any access at all. Let's see here. We also have older. Anyone still uses Daily Motion? I used to use this a lot in the early 2000s from what I remember. Daily Motion will operate here. This is a web app that I made using Weber. You can see what the video playback is like here. Seems to be freezing a bit. So if possible, you probably want to, change the resolution. And I believe they do allow you to do that. Let's see when the video actually starts here. Yeah, with this here, quality auto. So you can change it to something like if you went down to 240p. I don't think there we go. It did set it up here. That will make it more smooth playback. I often do that on YouTube. Sometimes I can play higher resolution videos, sometimes not. It might be my internet connection, but I don't think so. I just think it's just the limitations of this old device with not a lot of memory. And things are not necessarily optimized for Ubuntu Touch. Like they would be for Android or iOS. Like my Android phone, my iOS, my iPhone SE has 2 gigabytes of RAM. Now iOS is extremely optimized, so that doesn't pose a problem at all. 2 gigabytes of RAM on iOS, but on Android, and possibly as a derivative, Ubuntu Touch, that can be definitely a problem. And now, one other thing I do want to mention here is I do have some Android apps on here. So like this Mail app here is an Android app. And I talked about Android apps on my last Ubuntu Touch video. Now, with the OTA-16 update that this is on right now. See, previously, in order to add Android or Ambox functionality, in order to use Android apps on Ubuntu Touch, you had to add that yourself manually through a terminal. But with this update, they added the foundation for that support into the update. Then you still have to activate it, and that's what I did. So I activated it. I think I did it correctly. After I activated the Android app support, what it does is it adds apps, default Android apps here, like it's a calculator app. That's why I have some double apps here, because some of these are Android apps. Like that's the Android calendar app there. I think that's the Android calculator app there. Like the default Android calculator apps or default Android apps here. Like we have an Android gallery here, the default gallery right there. I cannot get Android apps to work. Let's see what happens. We try to open up the gallery here. Yeah, see, it just doesn't do anything here. And I even tried to download an Android app APK and see if I can get that to run, and I cannot. So it's possible that I maybe screwed something up, but I went online because the first things I was hearing about Android apps on this platform, I was hearing from people that were able to get them to function. They were saying that they were functioning well. My process hasn't been that successful at all. It hasn't been successful at all. I haven't been able to get any functionality from Android apps. And in further research going online, I found other people who also had that same issue of not getting Android apps to work. One of my favorite apps, so Android apps is still a work in progress. Hopefully in the future, they'll be able to get that to be a much more smoother experience. You may see I have a lot of Google apps here, other than the Google Translate, which I think I may have downloaded from the Open Store. I think the Google Translate app was created by someone else, and I downloaded that in the Open Store. The other ones I have here, Google Arts and Culture, Google Finance, Google News, Google Travel. These are all apps that I created using Weber. So we can open up Google News. And these are they really look good. One of the things is when you add the Weber app, it normally what it will do is it will launch a mobile optimized. If there's one available for the website, it will be a mobile optimized version. So it'll be very touch friendly. And this is one of the better ones. A lot of the Google apps that I have here are fairly decent, and it does, in a sense, give you some type of navigation. The hamburger menu here, so that's cool. And you also have a search bar here as well. I don't know what I just did here. Okay. Oh, I must have clicked on a COVID-19 option here. Let's go back to top stories. Okay, I clicked on the COVID-19 news. So yeah, this is one of my favorite ones here. I gotta make sure I keep everything in frame. I'm just looking at the phone directly and not looking at the camera, so I do apologize if certain things have been out of frame. But yeah, the Google News, but Google Finance, also it's very similar to Google News. It's very well optimized for a mobile screen and for touch. And one of the things that's good is you notice I'm not signed in to anything Google here. So these, one other thing good, see, I'm not signed in at all. They give you a lot of functionality here without actually having to sign into your Google, any Google account. Google Arts and Culture. So one of the things that's good about this is that, I'm just always trying different websites. I'm adding them I'm adding them to my home screen using Weber as an app, and I'm just checking out to see how they function as an app. Some websites do not function well as an app using the Weber app. And some function very well. It just often depends on how well optimized it is for mobile. And some sites are very well optimized for mobile. Let's just do a quick search here. Ubuntu Touch. There we go. And you just see how that looks here if we're using Ecosia. Let me close that here. Wikipedia, we can look at that. Again, this is a web app that I created using the Weber app. And this is fairly highly functional as well. Again, you can access these things through the browser, but I prefer to do it this way. TuneIn is another one that I created using the Weber app. This is fairly functional. You can just see how that works here. It gives you navigation up top. That's always a plus when you're using this, because since the Weber app doesn't add any navigation, if it has navigation here that you can use from the website itself, that's always a plus. Let's see. Radio in Albania. I think this is the capital here. Okay, let's just turn up the volume here, see if this is playing. Okay, it is playing right now. So this is a TuneIn Radio is very functional on Ubuntu Touch. And you see a lot of other apps as I'm scrolling here. Many of these are created using the Weber app. Okay, so this is getting pretty long here. I just wanted to show you the functions of this. I've been using Ubuntu Touch a lot lately. It's just really fun. It's discovery. I don't like tinkering that much, so I don't really open up devices unless I have to. I have opened up laptops for upgrades purposes, switching out hard drives, increasing the memory or whatever, switching out bezels. I've done a lot of different stuff. I consider that tinkering, but it's something I normally only do with a device one time. You don't really have to switch out hard drives or add memory multiple times. You do it once and you're done with it. So upgrading is something that I do. I've never upgraded anything on a smartphone or a tablet. I've never opened those devices up. There are tutorials online to do so, but I've never actually done it yet. But tinkering, either by opening up devices or getting really deep in the weeds as far as doing things software-wise. I don't really do that much. I'm an end user. I like to use a device. And if the device have capabilities that I can make use of, it's enjoyable for me. So just enjoying the device for the things that it actually offers is kind of how I experience computers. To be honest, with Ubuntu Touch, it's not at the same level as iOS or Android, even like Amazon Fire operating system. And how could it be? I mean, those operating systems probably have literally billions of dollars of research and development and huge staff, high-paid staff. For what this is amazing. I mean, it's a great and very well functioning operating system. It's not perfect, but I mean, for what it is, it actually for the as a functioning smartphone, this is definitely a functioning smartphone. And the basic categories that I mentioned in the other video are here. And the lack of app support is definitely an issue. So I don't think it's better than iOS or Android, but it's still extremely functional. It doesn't need to be better to still be a functioning device that you can prefer. I think people that will prefer, there's either people that don't trust those major companies, Apple, Google, or Amazon, people that just like to try things different, and also there can be a much lower barrier of entry as far as money is concerned. You may have an Ubuntu Touch capable smartphone in your collection that you bought years ago that you can now regain use for. It may not be supported on Android any longer. Like, this is a 2013 phone and it's still a supported operating system. That makes all the difference to me. Having an operating system is supported. I'd rather use this than using a smartphone with a 7 or a 6-7 year old version of Android that doesn't get any support any longer. On the OS level, a lot of times you can still get support through the App Store, but on the OS level, it hasn't gotten a security patch in quite some time. This is still supported, so that is a major plus for me to have a supported operating system. And it's just kind of fun to do the discovery, figure out what websites I can utilize on this platform and get use out of, and what things I can do. It's kind of limitless as far as it's just limited by the websites and the services that you would see operate on here, or what you would want to try to take advantage of or make use of. So yeah, it's really fun. So I just wanted to show that here. There's actually things that I think I wanted to show that I haven't actually got to, but this video is long enough. So thank you for watching. This is Digital Wandering signing off.